Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone wherever you are right now. Our thoughts and prayers are with you as we go through this global pandemic. The Lord our God is our only hope right now. In Him we live and move and have our being because He has given us life and breath and health and all things. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it is that God is God. He never fails. Every other thing will fail us. Technology will fail, government will fail, resources will fail, government will fail. Just everything we think about, but God will never fail. It's to Him now that we need to look for hope, for inspiration, for safety, for security. And He's completely in charge. You're welcome to a very special edition of Liberia Rising with Sam-Abel Gbinsay. I want to speak on the appeal. If there's anybody out there listening, I want to talk on the appeal. I want to speak to leadership and power, especially to leadership in my own country, Liberia. You see, we are so dishonest with ourselves that everything somebody says is considered as politically motivated. My appeal here is void of politics. I don't want to be a politician, and I can never be. That's not my calling and my purpose, period. I am honored to be a pastor despite my own limitations. I have been blessed by God, and I feel very fulfilled in my line of work. I remain grateful and humble each day for the opportunities I have that a lot of people don't have. That's why I say to myself, I don't want to be rich in terms of gathering wealth for myself, but I want to be a channel of God's blessing to my nation and my generation and to humanity. I don't need any public official to give me relevance. Jesus Christ has given me relevance because you see, one significance and relevance in life comes from the joy He encounters when you have a personal relationship with God through His Son Jesus Christ. Back to my appeal. I want to talk on the appeal. If there's anybody out there listening, Revelation 1:6 says, He, Jesus Christ, has made us both kings and priests unto God. He's made us both kings and priests unto God. We are a kingdom of priests and a kingdom of kings. You see, priests makes intercessions and supplication for themselves and on behalf of other people, for their nation and their leadership. But kings make decrees and laws. For a very long time, the church folks have operated from the priestly office very well. But we have done very poorly from the kingly office. And the few who have stood up from that office to operate, we often see them as problems and troublemakers. But I think it is time for the church to operate not just from the priestly perspective, but from the kingly perspective. Liberians, leadership, power and politics, I want to ask you, what do we want for ourselves and posterity? There's so many things that are going on right now. When you hear, it's sometimes I don't want to listen to local news or just anything that has to do with the country, but again, that's your country. I just don't want to listen to anything. Because there are just so many things that don't make sense. Decisions from leadership, conversation from leadership, the way they treat one another, they handle one another, the way they relate to the ordinary people, the people that they use to get into power, the way they treat them. Just so many things that get you so discouraged. And I have never been very discouraged. Not in terms of my relationship with God, I believe, and not in terms of fear or anything. I believe in God. I believe whatever happened. I believe, like a word said, I'm not afraid of the one who destroyed the body and not the soul. Like Job said, even if worm destroyed this body, I know I will see God. I have so much faith. But I'm talking about in relationship to my country and the way it operates. So much discouraged and disappointed. And I have never been like such a time. I had so much dream and vision for this country. I think positively. I try to do what I can do positively outside the walls of the church, that this nation will be something great. And I inspire my member every day. But sometimes, man. Esther 10 verse 3 said, Mordecai saw the wealth and prosperity of his people. Mordecai was the uncle of Esther, a Jew, who was threatened to be destroyed. But when God gave him the victory, he didn't revenge. He didn't go after his enemies. He sought the wealth and prosperity of his people. There's a global pandemic. We are appointing and approving government officials. What are we seeking? What are we looking for? Sometimes it drives me crazy. It doesn't make sense. What do we want? A global pandemic. But we are appointing and approving government officials. Those are not even things we should be discussing right now. The health and safety of our people should be our most priority. What do we want? It's so disgusting. It's so pathetic. There are important priorities and urgent priorities. What is the urgent priority right now? The global pandemic. How do we survive? How do we secure food? Why if it lasts 2, 3, 4 months, we import almost everything. How are we going to get food for our people to survive? I thought those are things we should be discussing. The other day I'm watching the cable news and I think it was the Dutch health minister. He falls off in parliament because they've been discussing this very pandemic for almost 5 days and he was exhausted. He suffered from exhaustion. What do we want? Neighboring countries are closing their borders so that nothing comes from there into our country, because you don't want scarcity into their supply. But ours is the other way around. We're letting supply cross this country into other countries when we can produce almost anything. What is our problem? Can you imagine? Yeah, things crossing our borders. People crossing our borders, supply crossing our borders. But the others can't do it. We always got the exception. We always set good examples. Figuratively good history. That's it. Our neighbors are dominated. Our news rather are dominated by political events more than health and social issues at this time. Our news, print media, electronic media. Can you imagine? Politics. Can you imagine? So are you saying that the political interest of few is important, is much more important than the lives of those you use to get into power, not those who put you into power, but those you use? Because that's why. Can you imagine? I'm so disappointed. I'm looking at the news and the leader of a governing political party is discussing politics and talking about it happened before in the days of the True Win Party. And you guys arguing like history has taught you anything. History hasn't taught us nothing. If it did, the choices we make in government and leadership, we won't be doing them. Forget about history. It's about your personal greed and narrow-minded and unsophisticated and uneducated views. That's all you want to support. Bribes and corruption on the increase, but yet we call it alleged. I guess we'll keep alleging till everything goes down the drain before we realize that these allegations were facts all along. Yeah, every time that there's being alleged. Yeah, we're being alleged. Everything is alleged. Yeah, it's alleged. Court of competent jurisdiction hasn't proven it. But every fabric of our society is broken down, is alleged. Allegedly. Corruption is allegedly. Everything is allegedly. It's alleged. Hospital and health centers being out of basic supplies. And it's like nothing is happening. It's normal. We expect nurses and doctors to perform miracles. These people are out there on the front line. That's one of the hardest professions in the world, the most difficult, beloved. And why if, just why if These people are not prepared. That's why some of them lost their lives during Ebola. Ebola cut us with our pants down, but we learned nothing. And somebody is quoting through party precedent. What did we learn from the recent? Because that's not our interest. Because some of you have the privileges on the back of the Liberian people, at the expense of the Liberian people can fly abroad. But thank God for this situation. Thank God for what God is doing. We've come into a time, we are in a time that we can only trust God for survival. And that's what God is going to do. He said those who know their God will be strong, they will do exploit. Because there's no place around the world safe right now. The places you run for aid and loans and all that kind of stuff, they themselves are going through it. World leaders are updating their people about current state of affairs, but our leaders throw insults and blame at one another. That's the only thing you get on the radio. Because you know why? What you lack intellectually, you try to make up for it with your anger. Shortage of gasoline, or shortages of gasoline and essential food supplies. We don't know the plans that are being put into place. Can you imagine? People come to power with promises of making positive difference. When they get there, all they say, don't hold us responsible for the past. But then why did you give the Liberian people hope? We just have to be honest. Go to Red Light, go to Douala, travel around the country, the villages and places we go, my people, to do ministry. See the life these people are living. And they don't mean anything to us. We got to be honest. We got to tell the Liberian people, what do we want? We have to tell them, look, we in politics for greed, for gain. We're not taking you anywhere. We've got no sense of direction and sense of belonging, because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. Let's not come to these things with high hopes and promises, and when we get there, we do nothing. We got to tell these people that this is why it is. This country will always be as it is until we see what dramatically happened. But let's not stop lying to already desperate people. Because you know what? Sometimes I ask myself, what do these people have in their veins? It is tomato paste or blood. We can pray for the nation as a church, and we keep praying, and then the things we see on the outside, the decisions are in contrary to what we believe, what we stand for. It's time for the church to rise up and stand up and speak truth to power, and not be alliances with them, and not to seek favor or influences. That's why I never invited a government official to my program and stuff in order that I want some money from you. I can invite you based on what you stand for in your heart for humanity and people, and not the score points of recognition. I'm already recognized by God. I can hear some say, we risk our lives for you. Are you kidding me? You risk your life for them. Thank God. Thank goodness you risk your life. You risk your life so that you can live like the celebrity and the prince. And the gap between you and the people you claim to have risked your life for gets wider every day. It was better that you didn't risk your life. What life are they living? You are announcing lockdown. Your people don't have access to safe drinking water. They don't have access to electricity. Some of them have to go red line and sell before they eat. What's going through your mind? What plans are you putting into place? And see how you can subsidize basic necessities and food. You think these people are selling because they want to? They don't have a choice. Some of them would prefer dying while selling. They stay home. That's the only way they know how to survive. They don't have jobs. Who is listening? Who is in charge? Who have a heart for these people? Who feel the pains of these people like some of us do? And now on the basis of any political reasons. Leader, it's about time to be honest. Either we tell the people we got direction for you, we don't have direction. Let's stop raising people's expectation and hope and making them more desperate. History and posterity will judge you tomorrow. I know most of you won't like this video. You don't have to like it, but I just have to say for the record. But I love this country. I believe this country. If most of you don't, I'm telling you, God will raise up the leaders, the David, the Moses, the Samson, the Jephthah, the Gideon that will transform this nation for the better. That's what I believe in New Liberia, and that's what I say, Liberia Rising.